¿Tú crees que la puerta aguantará?
Buenas noches. ¿Serían ustedes tan amables de mantenerse a la vista, con los brazos levantados?
¡Mierda, le doy por una! ¿Veis la pelotita? ¿Ahí? ¡Era para allá!
Hello and welcome to Richard Recommends. This will be a bit more unscripted. I don't really have anything else than the notes on my computer right now. Anyway, I have seen Attack of the Werewolves, and I didn't really want to spoil it for those of you who haven't seen it, unlike other reviews that I've done. This will be a fairly spoiler-free review. 100 years ago, the village was cursed because of the actions of the nobility, and now one of the nobility's descendants returns. Based on just the trailer and the title alone, you know exactly what's going to go wrong in that regard, and exactly sort of the main outlining of the story. But this simplistic plot is actually one of its main strengths, because it means it gets to focus on the characters and the dialogue and comedy. So let's go over to the character and actor section and hope that they do well. Thomas Marino is the descendant of the nobility. He's also a writer, and it's hinted that he's a former alcoholic, but it never really becomes important. He's played very well by Gorka Otskua. I can't pronounce it. Anyway, so yeah. Throughout the movie, he is very egocentric. He's essentially an asshole to most people that he meets, and only really thinks of himself until later on in the movie, but by then it is much too late for his character. Fortunately, he never becomes so much of an asshole that you stop liking him, and the actor does a very fine job. And he also has a lot of funny lines, and of course him being an asshole means that we have a lot of fun whenever he ends up in pain. Carlos is a former child friend of Thomas, and he has ever since grown up. He is now a farmer, having taken over his parents' vocation. He's also the most mature of the trio, and as such he's arguably the most likable one. He's also the one with the most character. He can go from being funny and being not uptight, being a real person, to becoming fairly serious. He's also the kindest of the bunch. And I would also argue that among the trio, he is the best actor. So there's not much really to say about him. He also has one of the funnier suggestions that leads to Thomas Paine. Secunda La Rosa as Mario. Mario doesn't really have much of a character. He's an idiot. That's it. He's Thomas' publisher, and he constantly makes stupid business decisions, apparently. That's pretty much his character, and it really only becomes relevant because he has a few funny lines, but sometimes it becomes very predictable, that he's just there to be an idiot and you kind of guess the jokes before they happen sometimes. He's arguably the weakest of the group. So I really don't have much to say on him. Evaristo is my favorite character. Well, yeah. He's not part of the hero group, he's actually the antagonist, but he is the best actor in the movie, and every scene he's in, he just steals. He plays he's the farmer slash mayor slash priest of the village, and he leads them in their quest to kill Thomas. There's not a whole lot to say about him other than he just sells the role, and it's a joy to watch him act. He's having so much fun. Luis Serra plays a police officer, and he shows up somewhere through the middle of the movie, I believe, and he pretty much acts as a reason why they survive at all, because he's the one who has all forms of training to survive, well, any form of attack. He's the gun expert of the movie, essentially. He doesn't have a character whatsoever other than he's the police officer and he's a veteran. But he does very well with the role, and he is arguably the funniest part of the entire movie. So yeah, I don't have much else to say other than that he's just incredibly funny. The effects for this movie is better than I expected. I expected CGI monstrosities, I expected some of the worst costumes I've ever seen. The design, which is the more classic Wolfman look, has never been something that appealed to me. So I was very pleasant when they actually managed to pull it off, and they actually don't turn it into CGI monstrosities. The turning scenes are also fairly well done. Not the best, but they're okay. There's not much to say on the effects department, really. It's adequate. The dialogue and the comedy is the strongest part of the movie. This is a horror comedy after all, and it has been compared several times to Shaun of the Dead. I'm not sure how accurate that is, because Shaun of the Dead was constantly funny and constantly throwing gags at you. This one doesn't as much throw gags at you as much as it does basically cement how these characters act, and it tries to make these characters likable. Yeah, Shaun of the Dead did that too, but this one does it to goes further with that. But the comedy is very good, and it's made possible because the dialogue is very well written and very well performed. I really have no qualms with it whatsoever. This is a movie that I would recommend to anyone who likes horror comedies, horror or comedy. It's well written, well performed, adequate special effects, as I said, and it manages to pull off everything it needs to do. So it's very good for a Saturday night or Sunday night, really any time that you can think of. Mind you, it is in Spanish, so if you're not speaking Spanish, you might have a bit of a problem with it since you need to read the subtitles. So yeah, I will definitely give it a recommendation. You must see this movie.